Hello and welcome back to the very last day of Marchus Annus. I know I've been a little missing in action for some of this, but very busy, as we all are. Work and a very tricky knitting project, which I am going to talk about very soon. But I do have some thoughts for this project. But before I get to those thoughts, let's go through all the days. I'm going to present it in a way that's very similar to how I presented it in my very first Marchus Annus video. I think it's appropriate considering how it's all about drawing. So, here we go. So, yeah, started off with gathering my supplies and then doing a little bit of the reading at the beginning. That's day 1 of Marchus Annus, as you can see. Listing my supplies as I gathered them. And moving over to day 2, just practicing with pen movement and finger lines and arm lines and just moving with the pen, as you see. Yeah, mostly using the big pen, the big glide pen, which I quickly learned was not the best of the ballpoint pens to use. And continuing day 2, following along in the book with just basically imitating the author and doing exercises and basically copying, because that's the best way to go about it. All freehand, no rulers, because rulers are not part of the supply list. And continuing with more lines, outline curves. This was fun. Didn't really use a lot of this in the actual practice, as you will see. And then day 3 was moving on to the different techniques. Hatching and playing with the different pens to varying degrees of success. Day 4 moved on to cross-hatching. More lines. More lines. Slightly better in some respects. Day 5, more techniques in hatching. A little more curvy hatching action. Curvy hatching, yes. Same day, day 5, another technique called stippling. Almost called it stripling for a second. Yeah, which is basically dots, which is an interesting technique to play with. Some of it worked, some of it didn't quite work, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting exercise. And then day 6 involved basically starting out doing a copy of what was in the book of a coffee cup, using stippling and a little bit of cross-hatching. And here it is. It's basically working off the picture in the book, using that as my guide, so it's not exact, but it's a reasonably decent facsimile. Never done anything quite like that before, so having something to use as a guide was very helpful. That bled into day 7 as well. Daylight savings time happened, so that kind of messed with me a little bit. The next day, day 8, some more hatching, this time tick hatching, so small hatching. And day 9, I forgot my notebook, so I had some handy note cards, and that was doing weighted lines and some more tick hatching, because as I said, daylight savings messed me up, as messes us all up. And day 10 continued with weighted lines. Also made a little note. I did like how the author listed some common mistakes in each section for the various techniques. I'm sure I committed a lot of them. I've also realized that I don't like white space, which is a problem. So day 11 started with the onion project in the book, mostly because I had convention weekend coming up, and I had I had a knitting project that I needed to finish by Saturday at the very latest, but I did manage to get done Friday evening in time for Saturday, and I will talk about that later. So I had to start this at work. I started with, I believe it was just the pencil part of it, just basic sketching and doing some weighted lines, and then cross-hatching of the onion. I thought it might have been better to use my own onion, but this was not too bad. Yeah, then day 12 continued the onion for further contour hatching. the second hatching layer, some more hatching layers, and then the final layered parts, and then 13. Days 13 and 14, I did not draw anything, sadly, because that was convention weekend, and that was very long, and I had a surprise project that I threw on myself. I did manage to do the last bit, I believe day 15 on this one, just to do some final touch-ups on the onion, and here it is. Kind of messed up the bottom of the onion, but I'm very satisfied with how that turned out. That was a very different project for me, and yeah, a little nervous that I would mess up the white spaces, and I didn't do that too badly. Yeah, quite like my little onion. So day 15, getting back into it, and with the techniques moving on, that was woven hatching, so more tick lines. It was an interesting one to look at. And day 16 did some more practice with the woven hatching. Day 16 also moved on to scribbles. Actual scribbling. Scribbling, which I'm no stranger to, and scribbling is very relaxing. That one looks like it's falling apart. Yeah. And then there was also a technique in varying pressures, which I tried doing with a Sharpie, and it didn't quite work. It required a specific pen that I did not acquire for myself for this project. Day 17, it was a cross-hatching and scribbling practice project on a pine cone. As you see, I didn't get very far. I did my best. I was doing this work, trying to work from a picture that was not very easy to see. I will give an attempt at a pine cone sometime, I'm sure, but this was not going to work. I tried to do it again on the 18th. So I got frustrated and moved on. 19, I think I tried again, and then was just like, okay, nope, gotta move on. So the actual thing I did on the 18th was some more techniques, and this was in understanding values, so basically the tone of lightness and darkness. Which I realized I should probably do more, just do like little swatches of the different tones and different ways of hatching and getting tonal qualities and shading. Yeah, came out not too bad. I realize I think I missed one of the spheres, but that's okay. Day 19, again, skipping the pine cone, moving on to a ceramic cactus. So basically started with the pencil lines and the weighted lines and some more hatching layers. Day 20, I did some reading ahead on the section on perspective. I think I was at work and was not able to actually do much in the way of drawing. But day 21, returned to the cactus and did the final, and here's how it turned out. Yeah, just drew myself a little sun to make sure I knew where the sun was on which side. Came out okay. Not as good as the onion, but not too bad. Working from the pictures for some of these was a little tricky, simply because they were so small, and the details were hard to see. So day 21, moved on to some texture, I guess, techniques, and texture practicing, so basically putting texture into a shape. Day 2 was doing an exercise from the Keep It Simple section for getting ready for action in the book, and that's basically just drawing a book. I only did one. I had to put my own little graphic on the cover just to keep it interesting. I probably could have done something else, but I ran out of time. And then read more about perspective again. Another technique I'm going to have to revisit because it is very complicated, as you see. Continuing day 22 in the evening, I decided to just practice drawing it out to get a feel for it. Again, no rulers, just trying to play by eye and doing a lot of erasing. But again, something with more practice I'll get better at. As you see, we've kept going day 23 with the 3-point perspective. That one was a little tricky. 2-point was a little tricky too. Also day 23 was a lot of reading, and I decided to revisit the techniques exercise for a bird box, which used hatching and tick hatching. As you can see, I was very busy on day 23 and working from the picture in the book, and that's how mine turned out. Not as good, and I kind of smudged my pencil a little bit because the pen I was using is very juicy and not very good. I also have a very bad habit of filling in the white spaces a little bit too much. And then I just kind of did a random practice of a spool of thread that I had lying around with a very nice blue pen. And now some more fun stuff. Day 24, moving on to exercises for Let's Draw, and one of them was a bunch of bananas. This was my first attempt. I wasn't very happy. My bunch kind of looks like weird fingers, so I did another one, a little better try, and that came out quite a bit better. I took my time a little bit. That one on the bottom looks a little funky, but not bad for my first bunch of bananas. Bananas are not as easy as onions. The next exercise was another 15-minute exercise, and that was for my own hand. Kind of following the instructions a little bit in the book. I did some weird things with my fingers. But honestly, it's not too shabby. And then just because I felt like doing some more and I'd taken my watch off, I was like, oh, let me just give that a draw as well. It's a little flat, but I'm actually not too upset with how that turned out. I purposefully it's a very shiny watch, so I did my very best to not fill in all the white space, just to kind of make it appear a little shiny. Day 25, I did not know what to draw, and the exercises listed in the book were not inspiring me, so I went looking through my phone for some random wildlife pictures and found an old one of a frog that had been in a planter box I had many years ago, and I attempted to do that, and that's how he turned out. Came out a little cartoony. Honestly, it was hard to see where the mouth was. Just a little tree frog that was living in a pipe. Day 26, I decided to do a revisit to textures and trying to practice drawing wood. I went with a picture of a cherry, a Japanese sakura tree that I'd taken a picture of a couple of years ago. And yeah, got the very abstract. One was slightly less abstract, and then one that I was trying to do shading, and I don't... It came out a little weird. I think I tried too hard to be creative, but it's practice. It's just practice, and I decided to keep going with that, and decided, well, let me just imitate the brick one that the author did, just to get a feel for it, and I think that definitely helped a bit. Day 27, I forgot the book and my sketchbook again, so note cards it was. And I drew some of my lunch. I bought lunch, and that was what I drew. Just some French fries that, keep it simple. And I thought this was actually not a bad one to practice with. Doing my very best not to fill in all of the space. I wish I'd done something different with the shadow, but the lighting in my office at work is not the best. So the shades, the shadows are a little strange. Continued at home doing some more practicing with just random scribbling, because I wanted to draw something else and didn't know what to draw, so I just grabbed my pencil sharpener. Honestly, that is probably, aside of all the things that I've drawn for this project, is the my favorite drew a play on my cup as well, the cup I was drinking from. But yeah, I'm really pleased how my little pencil sharpener came out. The proportions are a little off, but I'm still glad with how it turned out. As you can see, I was restraining myself with the white space there. And I could have done more shading on my cup, but I decided nope, because it's a black cup. I'm gonna keep it empty. Just put all the darkness in the shade. Day 28 and 29, taking a cue from the author and drawing an item you use commonly in your home or office or kitchen or whatever. So I went with my coffee maker at work. Honestly, not too bad. Again, the lighting in my office is really not great. And yeah, this didn't come out too bad. Just it was a lot of curves, which probably didn't help. On day 29, after finishing the shading, I just decided, let me take the last 20 minutes I have and try to do a face. So I went looking, first I went looking for a picture of Markiplier, which probably would have been easier, but then I changed my mind and looked for a picture of Ethan and just did a quick random pencil sketch, and that's how it turned out. And I realized, wow, I am very out of practice with drawing faces. Yeah. I mean, for a random pencil sketch, that's not bad. The hair is a little strange, but hair has always been an issue. I think I try to do too much too soon. So yeah, day 30 was basically reflecting on everything, and I will get to that in a moment. But I decided to do one more little drawing, as you know. But here it is, my little baby, stuffed baby fairy dragon. Yeah, even tried to keep the glare on the eyes, so it's, yeah. I'm rather pleased how it turned out. There's some things that I would have done better with the shading, but as I said, the light in the room where I was drawing it was not super great. Shadows were a little weird, but you know what? It's my sketch, and I think it turned out all right. It looks very similar to the toy. Yeah. So, let's get to some final thoughts. I realized very quickly that I overestimated my time and my abilities on this project, and I am very out of practice with my drawing, as plainly see. But that's the beauty about drawing, is the more practice, the more better you are. And this book is a good supplement for anyone with minimal knowledge about drawing in any capacity. But this really is a beautiful book, though. If you haven't checked out David Morales H's book here for yourself, I definitely recommend it. This really is beautiful. I love that all of the examples are drawn, all of the tools are drawn, and even some of the text is drawn. It's just absolutely beautiful. One of the most daunting things about art like this is facing a blank page and not knowing where to begin or even what to draw. And I'm still at a basic stage right now for stuff like this. When I was 9 years old, I knew how to draw a bicycle. I think I practiced once or twice after that, and then nothing for the longest time. And drawing real is a unique challenge. And one drawing a day, akin to what David Morales H. described briefly in his book, sounds like a fun challenge to continue just getting better at drawing in general. And Marchus Annus concludes, but the learning goes on. Learning, never stop learning. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Hope your own Marchus Annus, if you took part, or if you were just decided to learn something new in general, I hope it went well. Like I said, learning is a constant thing. Again, thank you for watching. Take care. I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye.